Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Tommo and welcome to my pre-race chinwag for the 2024 British Bias Grand Prix. Thank you all for joining me. Tim, Grace, Josiah, Dimmy, Christopher, Jorginho, Emma, Piglet, Grace, again, Castle Bricks, Patrick. Apologies for the... I'm feeling slightly pink today. It's a good thing I'm not a vest wearer because my shoulders are very sunburnt. I was on holiday, wasn't I? During the last stream, I was on holiday. I'm back in England now. I'm back in the pink room with the pink face, all on brand. Okay. Thank you all for joining, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining everyone live on YouTube, of course, and everyone after the fact on YouTube. And as per everyone, one of them for your lugs, right? Ears only. Bosh, welcome. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you all taking the time. YouTube's already telling me to insert an ad. It's telling me to insert an ad within like a minute of starting. I'm not going to do that to you, right? I'm not going to do that to you, okay? If you're here live, you don't get any ads. And I'll stick a little mid-roll in the posting just to help pay the bills, you know? Thank you all for coming. Wow, there's a lot of you here. Thank you all. Appreciate you all taking the time. Let's talk a little bit about England, shall we? Britain. UK. Whatever, right? It's the British Grand Prix. It's round 12. Back in Silverstone, great track. Always seems to deliver something interesting. I think they've really nailed the layout of Silverstone now. Obviously, they were changing. When did they put the put the Wellington straight in and they kind of mixed it up, didn't they? Because obviously back in the day, I remember Silverstone. One of my earliest racing games was Toka Touring Cars. Which one was it? Which one is it? It was one of the ones that the Toka game on the PS1, and it had the Laguna and the Audi A4 on the cover. At least the UK version did. I remember Silverstone, the old format. I mean, it's been through many different guises over the years. Silverstone's been about for time. An old Air Force base, of course, used to be kind of pretty much a loop. But it's a really good test. It's a really varied. You've got high speed, you've got medium speed, you've got low speed. Kind of make similar to Catalonia in terms of it's got a bit of everything. But I think Silverstone, I think most people seem to... The racing at Silverstone is way better than it is at Catalonia typically. So, was it 2010? There you go. 2010, geez, 14 years we've had this new layout. It doesn't feel new. It still feels new, to me anyway, knowing the old layout so well. But back again in England, and I'm buzzing for this one. I'm buzzing for this race. The spice last weekend adds to it for sure. The Verstappen Norris, yeah. Oh, it's going to be interesting. I'm buzzing for this one though. I'm buzzing, and it's America Day. Yep, blue and gold. 4th of July. Yep, freedom, all that. Logan Sargent. Any Americans? Congratulations, you've made it to your day. It's really like over here. It's not a thing at all. At least not in the you don't really see it talked about in. Not that I read newspapers anymore, to be honest. I go Twitter for all my news. But yeah, 4th of July. Congratulations to everyone celebrating 4th of July. America, all that, right? Love it. There's about as many as Americans of you as watch my stuff as Brits, actually. My demographics, it's like 20% UK and about 20% America. And sometimes America overtakes UK. American bias. Strong. Okay, so welcome. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the British Grand Prix, round 12, and what happened last time. Because, again, this is midpoint this season. But last season we were in the middle of little bit of Max Verstappen dominance, and it was quite a race. Obviously, this was the first Grand Prix that McLaren had both the upgrades on their car. This was the race after I did my chat with Lando and Oscar, which is, of course, on the channel. And because they did their chrome thing, they had the chrome McLaren, which actually looked better on... It looked better on the cameras during the race than it did in person. I think that chrome actually worked quite well, and I do wonder if they're going to do something similar. We've got a Red Bull Special Edition livery this weekend with bits of red in it. Sorry, Carl just called me a cheeky biscuit, which I've I like that, actually. A cheeky biscuit. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Carl. Very kind of you. So, yeah, you had Max starting on pole, but you had Oscar and Lando right behind him, P2, P3. Obviously, Lando got the jump on Max, got a better start, came out ahead. Oscar was putting pressure on Max at the start. This Red Bull, it is typically struggled to get its tyres up to temperature, hence why it wasn't a dominant qualifying car last year, because getting the tyres in that optimum window, it was difficult to achieve that in qualifying. But in the races, the Red Bull, with Max at the wheel, of course, is the caveat there. It took, 4 or 5 laps, whatever it was, for Max to get those tyres up to temperature, keep Oscar behind, and then get the move done on Lando, and look pretty comfortable from there on out. That Red Bull livery, ain't it? Do you not think? And then obviously we had the safety car. We had, was it Magnussen, I think, broke down, and then obviously Lando bolted on hard tyres. On the restart, Lewis was all over him because Lewis got the jump on Piastri in the pits. This was the podium that got away from Oscar Piastri. Lewis was able to capitalise with a pit stop during that safety car, and Lewis was all over the back of Lando. Lando did very well in his defence, actually. That was a very, as much as, and I remember, like, at the time, obviously Lando was getting a bit of stick when Max overtook him, because Lando didn't really fight it, which, I mean, I can understand at the moment. McLaren have just turned their fortune around, just turned their season around. They were still P6 in the Constructors at this time, maybe even lower. I know they were P6 by the time the ATR reset. And he didn't really fight Max in terms of going through. But obviously, when Lewis was all over the back of him, he was fighting a lot harder, because I think I can get why at the time you're like, well, there's no point fighting Max and losing time. Whereas I feel like I can actually stay ahead of Lewis here, because he's not got a Red Bull underneath him. So I've just found a hole in my pocket, which is really annoying. It's only a little hole, but anyway. So Lewis got the podium. Lewis got P3. Lando got P2. And Max won. Which, of course, if this result happens this weekend, after what happened last weekend, I anticipate many a boo. But you know what? You know what I would love to see? Right now, this is what I would love to see. Honestly, in terms of entertainment value, what I would love to see is Max Verstappen win the British Grand Prix, get out of the car to a chorus of boos, and maybe knee slide into the gravel. I mean, the gravel's quite coarse, so he might hurt his knees. But if Max got out of the car and won, and instead of doing that, which is his norm, right? That's the standard Max celebration, right? If he just got out and just did that, and just head up, cinema. That would be absolute cinema. You know what? You just give him the title there and then, right? Give him the title. I would love that. That would be so good. That would be so good. Okay. But it remains to be seen, because this certainly will not be as comfortable. I mean, Max made it look comfortable last year, but again, he is the factor that has been making this Red Bull a dominant package. And even now, you can argue for the last few races, Lando should have had a very good opportunity to win them. Yet hasn't taken any, and Max won 2 of those. George won the most recent one. But yeah, that would be that would be levels. I thought you agreed Max was in the wrong. What do you mean, Ash? I'm not talking about the incident. I'm talking about at Silverstone, if Max wins, that would be great cinema. Of course it would. It would be great TV. And just people would lose their mind, because people have no self-control and can't handle a bit of sporting banter, which is just hilarious to me. But there you go. So that's what happened last time. Max won the race. Lando P2, Lewis P3 in a British bias sandwich. The filling in a British bias bit of bread. There we go. Let's take a look at the driver standings as they stand after 11 of 24 races. After this race, after Silverstone, we will be halfway through the season. I will do my mid-season report. I've already asked for suggestions for the mid-season report in the comments below in a previous stream, but if you've got any more, please do let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. It'd be much appreciated. So Verstappen did extend his lead last weekend. Even with all the shenanigans that went on, he still managed to extend his lead, but Norris is just 6 points ahead of Leclerc. But Ferrari just seemed to have stalled a bit, which is a shame. It's a real shame, because I feel like Leclerc Verstappen in what year was it? Was it 19? Them two wheel to wheel around Silverstone. Iconic F1 battle, them two. The thing is, like, you can tell, right, this is kind of new territory for Lando. And he's kind of sussing out how he needs to go about this. And there's been a lot of talk, will he drive differently with Max and blah, blah, blah. And Max has got his style, he's got his characteristics, as do, as had all the greats, has had Senna, has had Schumacher. You have that cutthroat edge to you, and you flirt with the boundaries of what is allowed and what is not, okay? This is top tier sports. It's always going to be that way, and it should always be that way. I think that Leclerc is more naturally inclined to Verstappen's style than Norris is, because, straight away, after Austria, wasn't it? It was after Austria where Max kind of squeezed Leclerc off at turn 3, at that same turn 3. And I've already talked at length on Twitter yesterday why I think that's a different incident to what happened last weekend. But either way, going into Silverstone, you know that Leclerc was like, okay, right, if that's how we're going to do it, then I can play that game as well. And they were wheel to wheel, and they were both off track at times. But you know what? It was unreal. And if that Silverstone battle in 2019, this is why it's so difficult, because you have to draw a hard and fast rule, and drawing that rule at the white line, we ask for consistency, but also you watch back that 2019 battle, Leclerc Verstappen, and they were both off the track loads, but they kept their foot in it. No one pushed anyone else onto the gravel. It was always pushing off onto tarmac. And it was sick. So it's like, it's so conflicting, because part of you's like, oh, actually, they went wide at turn 17. So, but then it's like, no, shut up. That is a great battle. It's like, I don't know. It's sport, isn't it? Like, we're never going to actually achieve. Part of what makes sport great is the human element. And with like VAR in football, I remember seeing the stat. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but since they introduced VAR, there has been it's a significant increase in the correct decision being made. But the fact that it takes away something human from sport is a very human endeavour. And in this instance, it's humans who build the cars, and then it's humans who drive them. And when you get too caught up in rules and trying to make everything super defined, sport can lose something to it. So yeah, it's an impossible challenge to solve. And look, I hope Max and Lando go at it this weekend. It would be great entertainment. I hope they keep it on the track. I hope they race hard but fair. We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. Do I prefer the old Silverstone now? I wouldn't say I prefer it, KJ, but I just remember it very nostalgically. Very nostalgically. So they're the driver standings. In terms of opportunities, well, obviously, look, any team in that kind of bottom half, obviously Haas got good points last weekend. I think Alpine ran pretty well around Silverstone last year, and I feel like they are now getting that weight off the car and finding something. So I expect them to be pretty decent this weekend. And yeah, Williams and Sauber need to find something big time, because they are plumb dead at the back. Plummy at the back. 2022. Was 22 the through goes Hamilton bit? I think it was. Anyway, those are the driver standings as they look. Max Verstappen clearly leading the way as per. Russell only 1 point behind Piastri. That's interesting. And then Piastri and Russell both, within 7 points of Sergio. So, woo. Yeah, it was. Cool. Yeah, through goes Hamilton. Was an iconic delivery line from Crofty. Well done, Crofty. Done very good. F1's most overrated moment. I mean, it's the commentary that makes it, Josh. I'll give you that. It is the commentary that makes it because Checo and Lewis is very intelligent and smart. He kind of, Austria when Max and Lando are having their little squabble in the sprint race and then Oscar kind of positions the cutback. That's essentially what Lewis did in 22 around Silverstone and got both of them. And that's what Oscar was trying to do in the sprint. But then you had a lot of Lando fans getting annoyed at Oscar for, you can't overtake Lando because he's fighting for a championship. Oh, come on, shut up. Anyway, yeah, and the crowd loved it. Obviously, having a British crowd enjoy. It'd be like if Max pulled that move at Zandvoort, you know what I mean? The vibes would be off the scale. Team standings wise, we are coming up to so this is how the ATR is set because we're now in the month of July. So this is how the ATR order is looking. So Sauber are going to get 100% of the 110%. So he goes 70, 75, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110. Oh, so 120, 115, 120. Either way, so it's 70 to 120% the ATR allocation. So big allocation for Sauber. And they'll do nothing with it. I don't disagree, David. I don't disagree. I'm not expecting too much from Sauber's. Look, they've got a Ferrari PU in the back, but they are not using it well. Not as well as Haas either. Oh, and I've still got the colours in the wrong order as well. I completely forgot to change that because I'm stupid. Never mind. Pink Haas. Pink Haas would be great, you know. A pink Haas would be cold. I'd love to see that. In terms of positional, what's most likely to change this weekend? I mean, Ferrari, McLaren, that's only 23 points between them. So that could well change this weekend. But again, McLaren were mid enough at the start of the year that they've got a little bit more ATR than Ferrari going into the next cycle. So they've played a worldie, just like last year when they stunk at the start of the season. And then they were P6 at the ATR reset, and they've made that allocation cook. But the thing is, that's the thing, isn't it? We just have to have faith in these teams that they are using this ATR and actually it's making a difference. Because it was like with so many things in F1, it's very hard to actually, as a viewer, look at that and be like, oh yeah, I can see where that's made a difference. Because sure, yeah, you look at McLaren's upsurge since they got the ATR reset. But also, that upgrade that went onto Lando's car in Austria last year was a product of long before they had a terrible start to 2023. So, we just got to have faith that it's all going to converge, come together. 25 is shaping up for a banger though. Come on. 25 is shaping up unreal. The thing is as well, because the aero regs have obviously been submitted now. We've seen pictures of the 26 aero regs, but it's not been like confirmed to the teams that they can be like, right, we know exactly what we're working within. So we've got the more broad, generic, a little bit narrower, a little bit shorter, blah, blah, blah. But it just means that teams can go full steam ahead in terms of the aero, in terms of the actual car chassis development, keeping on these rules until, and they're not allowed to start anyway until like 2025, right? But what I'm saying is that if the rules was fully known and fully in place, which they're not yet still, then they could at least start thinking about. But they can't really now because that's not confirmed, and obviously the power units is a separate conversation, but all of these teams that produce their own power units are produced in separate facilities and all their customers as well. So, so that's how the team standings are looking. Cool. Excellent. Priscilla, can you get out of bed, please? You got 30 minutes left for work. Is that all right, Polish-Eddie? Thank you, Polish-Eddie. Appreciate the chat. Priscilla, everyone tell Priscilla to get out of bed. You have 30 minutes till work. Get out of bed, Priscilla. What are you doing? Unless you work from home, I guess, then you can just work from bed. But I'm assuming you don't. So, Priscilla, not good enough. Exactly, Luca. Not good enough. Right, get that back. Secure the bag, Priscilla. Secure the bag. Okay, my predictions for the 2024. Keep trying to say 23. Time is going too fast. Time goes quicker the older you get, doesn't it? Because each year is a smaller fraction of your life. Yeah, anyway. It's just something to ponder. Right, my race winner for the 2024 British Grand Prix. And to be honest, I've said this because I kind of would like it to happen. Is Max Verstappen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The cinema of Max winning to a chorus of boos and just giving it one of them. But also, outside of that, outside of the vibes of Max winning, it would... look, I think the characteristics of that car are going to go well here. You can argue the same for McLaren, of course. But Max is driving, and it was such an unlucky way it played out last weekend. It was a slight bump. He just didn't quite give him enough room. It wasn't like he harpooned into the side of Lando like a lot of people like trying to make it out to be. Look, I think that he's still the best driver in F1 clearly, and people said like an intimidation factor. Max, that's what you want. Like that is what so many of the greats of the past have had, this psychological edge that people feel like they need to drive them differently because they flirt with the boundaries of the rules and often overstep them. But I mean, that will reward Max more than it will hinder him. And it will hinder him in moments, and he'll get penalties and stuff. But more often than not, it will reward him. And look, you can argue that's not right, that's not fair, whatever. But look at any sport, and there's players, there's participants who have different approaches, have that intimidation factor. And Max has that. So I'm going to say Max Verstappen wins, and he gives it one of them. And the tears and the boos ring around Silverstone. That would be vibes. I'm not going to lie. So that's my race winner, Max Verstappen. Banger drive this weekend. He's always run pretty well round here, I think. I'm of the opinion. I think Valtteri will have a good race. Oh, I've clicked and nothing's happened. There we go. What the hell was that? Dodgy mouse. Valtteri Bottas is my banger drive this weekend. I think I'm going to say Bottas point. Not points, a point. I think he'll get a point in his Sauber. There you go. Lock it in. Also, he looks like... in that photo, he looks like Giga Chad, doesn't he? He does. He's got the chin line, and he's got the hair. He looks unreal. He looks like he's been cryogenically frozen and like released, and he's just like Terminator or something in that photo. He does. He looks unreal. I'm going Valtteri banger drive. Been driving very well. He's driving for a seat. He's driving for his future. We just don't know where that will be. A lot of it is he's waiting on Carlos. He's probably the driver who's most annoyed that Carlos hasn't sorted his stuff out yet. Like, get your house in order, Carlos, because my future's depending on your future. So please, it's just like ringing him constantly. Like, Carlos, please sign a contract somewhere. I don't care where. Just somewhere so I can actually know what I'm doing with my life next year. So yeah, I'm going banger drive, Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas. Clanger drive. So it goes one or two ways for given what happened. Look, I've gone Lando, right? So it goes one or two ways. He either head rush from what happened last weekend. I'm not convinced what happened last weekend is going to get the best version of Lando out this weekend. It goes one or two ways, I think. He either responds to it really well and he has a great race and possibly wins, or he gets in his head too much and he clangs. And my prediction is the clang. In what guise? I think it's probably more likely he makes a mistake or he makes contact with someone and gets a penalty. That's how I see this weekend clanging for Lando. I think he will have the pace. There's no doubt he will have the pace in my mind. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure many of you would have swapped the order, Max. But Lando winning his own Grand Prix would be great. But I want entertainment. And Max winning at Silverstone with the chorus of boos and giving it, it's too much. It's too enticing for me. Anyway, my clanger drive, Lando Norris. Banger team, Red Bull. I think they will deliver. I think they'll make up from their transgressions from last weekend. I think they'll deliver Max a package that he can win on pace. And I think Checo will finish in the top 5. Which, look, that's a win based off recent standards. I think Checo will have a alright race. We'll see. Actually, who won the... I'm trying to remember. We did, in my pre-race predictions for Austria, I predicted Checo would qualify P6. And I'm sure in the poll, most of you said he would go out in Q2. And he actually qualified P8, but obviously then he got the 3-place grid drop. But he qualified P8. So I was slightly optimistic, but I won that one. So should we do that now? Should we do a poll for where's Perez going to qualify this weekend? Oh no, what's happened? Right, I can't do a poll. I've just realised why my mouse didn't click, because that issue that I've had in the past with my Bluetooth dying has just happened again. So the only thing that works on my laptop is my trackpad. So my keyboard on my laptop doesn't work now. My external keyboard doesn't work now, and I can't type anything. So we can't do a poll, I'm afraid. Anyway, so we're just gonna have to move on. And no, it's not. It's literally it's an issue with my laptop that just randomly happens. So anyway, banger team Red Bull, clanger team Ferrari. The momentum's been poor as of late, and I think that Ferrari are going to struggle again. I don't think they'll be out the points necessarily, but I think Mercedes will be clear of them. McLaren and Red Bull will be clear of them as well. Yeah, there you go. Oh, there we go. She's up now and getting ready. There we go. See, look, we work together to help someone get to work and get the bag. All right. You're welcome, Polish Eddie. You're welcome. Right. So those are my predictions for the 2024 British Grand Prix. But what about you? What do you think? Well, 1,038 of you voted. Thank you for voting. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see me post the polls on my community page, or follow me on Twitter at TOMMO'S, where I post the polls beforehand so you can get involved. A bit later this week than usual, but I was on holiday. So there you go. So your race winner prediction for the 2024 British Grand Prix is Lando Norris, 39% of the vote. Max Verstappen, 32% of the vote, so pretty close. 12% Lewis Hamilton and 12% Oscar Piastri. I think Piastri's got a bit of a worldie, a tone for, well, he didn't do anything wrong at Silverstone last year. It was a poor time safety car, but make up for the bad luck he was on the receiving end of last year around Silverstone. And I mean, I've said my piece on his track limits in Austria. I think my point's very clear. And so for me, he was unlucky. I think that track limit should be, it was an oversight because there shouldn't need to be track limits on that corner when you've got gravel. So I think Oscar Piastri, I could see Oscar having a very good race actually. I reckon Oscar Piastri podium is pretty locked in. That's what I'd say. But yeah, Lando 39, Verstappen 32, Hamilton 12, Piastri 12. Your race winner. Let's see who's right. Banger drive from you, Lewis Hamilton. 28% of the vote. 20% Oscar Piastri. 13% Lando Norris. 6% Charles Leclerc. This obviously goes very well around Silverstone. Puts some big pressure on Lando. Was only able to get P3, but still, that Mercedes was not great last year. It was not, which clearly wasn't as good as the McLaren at Silverstone last year. Obviously had the tyre advantage at the end, but Lando was able to hold on the hards until they got up to temperature and then crack on. So yeah, banger drive, 28 Lewis, 20 Piastri, 13 Norris, 6% Charles Leclerc. Yes, no Max in the top 4. Some good old British bias for you. I'm going to sneeze. Oh my God. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. It's like, it's here. It's here. It's waiting. But I think it's just going to make my eyes water. Ugh. Right. Clanger drive this weekend for you is Checo. 26% of the vote for Sergio Perez. 10% Lando Norris. 8% Max Verstappen. 7% Daniel Ricciardo. Interesting. I think Checo will be all right. I think he'll be all right this weekend. I think Checo will be all right this weekend. But I think literally doing these graphics, it's like, I think Lando's been predicted race winner for the last like 3, maybe 4. And Checo's been predicted clanger drive for the same. It does make my life a bit easier. It means I have to click a few less buttons when I'm putting these together. So clanger drive Checo. Banger team. Your banger team. McLaren, 40% of the vote. 28% Mercedes. 8% Ferrari. 5% Haas. We'll talk about Haas in a minute because they've just announced a certain Mr. Manbear for one of their seats, haven't they? For 2025, which I'm very happy for him. Absolutely. And then clanger team. Who's going to drop an L? Aston Martin, again. Clanger team vote. They've been about 3-4 weekends in a row now as well. 34% of the vote for Aston Martin. 17% for Sauber. 11% for Red Bull. 9% Ferrari. So, those are your predictions for the 2024 British Grand Prix. These are mine. So, we're actually different across the board. But who will come out on top? Well, make sure you watch my post-race stream on... Might actually do it Sunday, because I'm potentially busy on Monday. So I might actually do my post-race stream on Sunday evening. Or Monday morning. Or Monday midday. We'll see how it goes. But make sure you subscribe to the Tommo YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Like the stream as well, if you're here on YouTube, please. And make sure you rate 5 stars, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. Helps me out. I appreciate. Without you lot, I couldn't do what I do. So, thank you kindly for being here. Cool. Amazing. GP still not sold out. I don't know, DH. I'm not sure. I've not heard. Obviously, there was that story, wasn't there? That, Silverstone isn't sold out because Max is dominating. I'm like, cost of living crisis, more expensive than ever. Ticket prices that go up with as they sell out. Probably has more to do with it than that. Probably. Maybe. No, it's just because Max is dominating. Come on. Like, I said it last stream, like, I find it very jarring when, the first thing people say when they don't agree with my opinion is that it's British bias. But when I hear stuff like that, I'm just like, bro, like, it's not because a Dutch bloke's winning all the time. Like, Lewis was winning all the time for years. Like, it's not because of that. It's because of other factors you can control as well, right? Like ticket prices. So don't just blame the foreign bloke, blame Max, right? Because we can do no wrong. But I do get it sometimes, you know. But it's still frustrating on a personal level sometimes. But there you go. It's just something you got to accept with this, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not. I was at one stage. I was going to be going to Silverstone. Now I'm not going to be going to Silverstone. But that's fine. These opportunities come and go. Game to game, innit? Footy watch long to watch England get battered, mate. We are going to get turned to Swiss cheese if we play like we've been playing as of late. We can't be favourites for that game. We can't be favourites. Switzerland have actually been really good. I'm not surprised because they've always done well in tournaments. They're a decent little club as of late. Oh yeah, and if you're British, go and vote today. I've still not done it yet. I'm going to do it after the stream. Go vote. Make your vote count. There you go. That's my little service announcement. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That's not my place. But go vote. Cool. Okay. So they're your predictions. We'll see who comes true. Now let's talk about Ollie, Ollie, Ollie. Oi, oi, oi. The boy's got the seat. Gas for him. I mean, it was when it was announced he was doing 6 FP1s this year with Haas. I mean, surely that was all you needed to know. That was all the evidence you needed to suggest that he was almost certainly going to be in a Haas for 2025. So yeah, I'm chuffed for him. Look, at the end of the day, he's come in, he's done FP1s. He replaced Science in Saudi, did a very good job. Obviously, he's a Ferrari young driver. Haas very, very closely connected with Ferrari. I'm sure this deal doesn't just give Haas a young, exciting prospect because they are taking a gamble. A rookie's a rookie at the end of the day. And you look at the mainline stats, especially of Ollie's F2 season this year, and they haven't been amazing. I think there's a lot of context behind that. Prix has been struggling. He's been distracted somewhat with FP1s, which is going to take some of his focus away. We literally talked about that when me and Ollie chat earlier this year. Hopefully we'll be able to do the same video at the same time next year. We've already discussed that. So it's going to affect his preparation somewhat. And I mean, that Saudi weekend, he put it on pole in F2. So that would have been a good dose of points. I think that Ferrari wouldn't look to get Ollie into F1 through Haas if they didn't believe in him and if they didn't see data that indicated he did well. I also don't think Haas would have been prepared to take him on. I think they would forego any potential. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of, we'll give you a little discount on the engines if you take in Ollie, whatever. Right? I think make it mutually beneficial. Give Haas some assurances. I think that's the right thing to do from Ferrari's point of view because he is a rookie. Any rookie you take on is a gamble. Somewhat is a risk. But I think if they didn't see in the data potential and ability, and he's still only 18, then they wouldn't do it. So I know obviously people look at the F2 results and like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. And I think that's a very surface way of looking at it. I think they wouldn't be making this gamble if it didn't make sense somewhat to them. And getting a bit of a discount on your Ferrari engines, I don't think is the only reason. I think Ollie's done more than enough to prove. And again, he took that opportunity in Saudi, took it with both hands. Everyone, myself included, thought he was going to get caught by, who was it, chasing him down in that last stint? Was it Lando and Lewis, I think? But he just plugged the laps in, stayed ahead, about half a second off of Leclerc in qualifying, which given how late it was as well, I think he gave a very good account of himself. So, yeah, I think, and this F2 season is crazy. Obviously, he had reliability issues in Austria, did Ollie. The fact the guy who's leading hasn't even won a race, Paul Aaron, been on the podium every weekend, And he got dropped by Mercedes as well, didn't he, going into this year? So, yeah, F2's kind of been a bit all over the place, which isn't that out of character for F2, but it feels especially so this year that it's been a bit crazy. And the Mechachrome-ing of drivers, Isaac Hadjar, he got Mechachromed in... Where was it? I can't remember what race it was where he got Mechachromed. That is when your engine goes bang, and they're made by Mechachrome. The same people who made Alpine's engine in Le Mans. The engines that then broke pretty much back to back. So, wow, very much reason to trust Mechachrome there. But yeah, I think he's. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he does. It's nice that they've announced this before the British Grand Prix home race, FP1, and he is the first of potentially quite a few rookies we'll see jump into the sport next year. So, obviously, Jack Doohan, I think, is looking pretty well placed to take that seat alongside Pierre Gasly. He's not going to command a big wage. Flavio Briatore is Jack Doohan's manager. He's done a lot of FP1s. He's doing a lot of reserve role stuff. He's very well engrossed in that team. I think Alpine have all the data they need to know whether Doohan can step in instead of Ocon alongside Pierre and where he's going to sit, how close he will be to Gasly. They should have plenty of data to suggest how that's going to go. They should also have plenty of data to suggest how Jack Doohan would do relative to how Oscar Piastri was doing when he was part of Alpine and he was testing. He was doing all this testing kilometres in old Alpine cars, and as is Doohan now as well. So yeah, Jack Doohan's on for it. I think, look, obviously Liam Lawson, I think he's a very... He's an exciting option for Sauber. He's an exciting option for Williams. I think that... I hope he gets on the grid, because I think he deserves it. I mean, he's done... Let's be real. He's done more to deserve and merit over multiple races than Ollie has, in terms of he had 5 Grand Prix. Ollie had 1 and has done some testing. Liam's done 5 Grand Prix, performed, I think, very, very well in all of them. Certainly Singapore as well. That was a particular highlight. If Ollie deserves to get this opportunity, which I think he has shown enough to merit the opportunity, I think Liam absolutely does. So, yeah, I think time will tell on that one. Even Tao Pourchaire as well. He's obviously with Sauber, Audi, that science deal now looking less likely than ever. Obviously now Alpine have come to the table with quite a maybe compelling offer for Carlos. But I think Tao Pourchaire, especially now he got dropped by McLaren in IndyCar, that would be a nice up yours to McLaren, wouldn't it? For Tao. So, and I think, you look at his F2 performances, look at the pace he's demonstrated. I think Tao Pourchaire would do an excellent job in Formula One. So, I would love to see that. I think the transfer I would like to see, what would I like to see most? I would like to see... So obviously Behrman's now confirmed at Haas. I think Ocon is a great driver. He's a bit, chaotic at times, granted, but he's a great driver. I think Behrman, Ocon at Haas is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see... I want to see Lawson in. I think Bottas deserves to keep a seat, but I think Pourchaire alongside Hülkenberg at Audi, I'd lock that in. So Pourchaire, Hülkenberg at Audi, Sainz, Albon at Williams. I mean, Bottas is out of a seat though. There'd be Bottas Ocon for the Haas seat. I think if I was Haas, if I was Gene, and I had Ocon or Bottas to go alongside Behrman, I would pick Bottas. But I think Ocon has... I think right now, Ocon is the quicker driver. I believe that. But I think... So then Ocon's out the sport. Yeah, probably. Jeez. Which, I mean, he's one of my favourite drivers. But he's not done himself favours. That's the problem. And you can't look past that. Esteban. So, oh yeah, and then Ricardo, Perez. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Neither are giving particularly good accounts of themselves, are they? And Ricardo's been a little bit better as of late, but it's relative to Yuki. You know, he's in Ricardo. That Racing Bull seat is a very different seat to the Red Bull seat, isn't it? So, I don't know. Time will tell. Well, at least look, if they do take Ocon, they'll have two tall drivers, so that might make, seat fitting chassis a bit easier. Bottas and Bowman would be a better team even if Ocon is faster. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, Kev. And yeah, Ricciardo is 3-0. He's 3-0 against Yuki recently. But like I said last time, in the comments, make sure you get in the comments because I'll be in the comments as well. He needs to be 15-0 for the rest of this year now against Yuki in order to have a chance for that Red Bull seat next year. Because Ricciardo hasn't shown enough in the time that he's been in that Racing Bulls. But if he can, this second half of the season, if he absolutely nails it, and Checo keeps honking, there's a chance. Do you reckon, Kiefer? Ocon to McClure. You said Merc, and I just saw Leclerc. Ocon to Mercedes. Oh, Kiefer, I don't know, mate. That's a stretch. That is a stretch. Oh yeah, and Antonelli to Mercedes. I mean, that feels like a given, So yeah, Behrman, Lawson, Pourchaire, Antonelli. Get him in. Get him in. Make it happen. Make it happen. Right. Why the hell does Bottas deserve a seat? He's doing the Kimi. I don't. Look, you can only look at these drivers relative, right? Bottas has taken a step forward relative to Joe this year. Like the gap. The gap is bigger than it's ever been between them two. So it's like, oh, how much is this Bottas improving and getting more settled into that car and more settled into this team? Or is it Joe going backwards? I don't know. That's my answer to that. I don't know. I do not know. I ain't got a Scooby-Doo for you. But yeah, Joe's lost confidence, perhaps. He seemed a bit happier with going back to his old chassis, didn't he? So, but who else is Franco Colapinto's doing FP1 for Williams as well, which is cool. He seems like a pretty well-rounded, pretty impressive driver. So got a lot of time for. I mean, Bortoletto's the guy though. I think Bortoletto's an exceptional driver. I'm really backing him, but he's part of McLaren, so we'll see if he gets any FP1s this year. Probably. Can't imagine why McLaren wouldn't give Bortoletto some FP1s. But yeah. Okay, cool. Right, I think we are pretty much done. Any more bits, chat, before we end? See everyone who's 50-minute for a pre-race. This is a long one. Got to go vote. Who will Prima sign if Antonelli and Behrman leave? Well, you've got what's his name? There's someone in F3 who's Prima, but I can't remember his name now, and it's going to really bug me. I'm sure one of you will say it. His name, not Lindblad. He's Red Bull, isn't he, Helita? But yeah, Bogdanovic, that's the one, Vupa. Thank you, Vupa. Bogdanovic is who I was thinking of. I can remember his name. Should we have a latest science prediction when he actually makes his mind up? Jeez. So it does seem like Alpine actually now is. I completely wrote off Alpine. I was like, no way he goes Alpine. But now they're talking about Alpine, maybe Ferrari engine, or at least not their own engine, which, as much as that is deeply embarrassing for Alpine Renault as a brand, it does make the F1 team more enticing for a driver. I think that's fair. So, science. Where does he go? I think... the thing is, like, he was at Renault back in the day, so he's got pre-existing understanding of that team. He's never raced at Williams. He's never raced at Sauber. So that's something. But was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? Yeah. If I was Carlos Sainz, what would I do? I think, I mean, he said it himself. Like it's a project. Whatever he's taken on is a project with ambition, and there's been so many false dawns at Enstone. I just I couldn't get excited about that because of how many false dawns they've had. Sauber Audi has massive upside, but the chassis department is clearly weak. The aero department is clearly weak, and bringing in an Audi engine is not going to change that overnight. Williams, I think it's been... They were so behind facility-wise, yet still able to do a somewhat impressive kind of high bottom-end job. Lower midfield job. So I think I would still elect Williams. Seeing Albon, sign on for the long term as well. He's obviously seeing something there. Vowles is a very good speaker, but also his experience at Mercedes and of those dominant years at Mercedes can only be of value to Williams. So I still think if I was Carlos, I would elect for Williams. But loads of new hires as well. Yep, Max, good point. Loads of new hires. Newey is a realistic option, I think, for Williams. But I think, like you say, DH, I think he'll take some time off. South of France, chilling, living his best life for a bit. Take some time away, as he deserves. So yeah, I think a multi-year for Williams for Carlos, like maybe 2 with a potential for a 1 extension. That gets Carlos into the first year of 26 and the new regulations, and with a Mercedes power unit. Of those 3 options, that is the only option that sounds like is Carlos more making this decision based on Mercedes power unit at Williams versus Ferrari power unit at Alpine, potentially, versus Audi power unit at Sauber Audi? Time will tell. Time will tell. Right, okay, we are done, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in wherever you are in the world. Much appreciated. Don't forget again to like the stream. Right. God, I felt that coming. Write a comment down below if you want, and I'll do my best to get back to you. I appreciate you taking the time. I'll see you for the post-race stream. I have a Sunday evening or Monday morning / mid-afternoon, depending on what I'm doing Monday. Thank you, everyone. I don't have Minton because we got back from holiday and he's still at my mum's. So, but I'll make sure Minton is in the post-race stream. Okay, I promise. Thank you, Ali, Patrick, Christopher, IBK, Jozo, Dougie, Frozen, Blue and Gold, Ven, Taxi, Dumda, DH, Theo, Abigail, Luca, Lockie, Rue, John, Abhinav, Anders, Arsene T, Prabat, Astronomical, Tina, William, IBK, Will, Jeremy, Max, Halita, Raina, Siobhan, K, 14, Ashika, Kiefer, David, Bitlane Pulse SF, Liego, FH4, Kev, Lockie, Rangy Fuller, Sophia, Daddy Fett, David G, Lolly, Theo, and Darkman. Bye, everyone.